All right. Welcome to the Callahan Training Group podcast from the mobile studio. I'm sitting on my tiny little RV. Delmarva's happening about 100 yards that way, and we're doing a little experimental podcast, seeing if this works on my iPad with the mics, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, welcome to the podcast. I'm sitting on the RV, just finished doing some dry fire. I'm about to do the Ace VR, and I figured I'd talk about major match prep and how I prepare for a major match. Um, I say prepare for a major match because obviously the skills are hard skills, and there's not a lot of things that I'm not aware of, like shooting at this point. But I'll talk about kind of like my strategies the week going into and like the days leading into a major match. First of all, thank you to all the people who let me do what I do here. I'm sitting on an RV in the middle of somewhere in Maryland, about to shoot a match tomorrow. Drove down here today, spending the night. I appreciate all the support from you guys out there listening, watching, and taking classes. I also wanted to thank Vortex Optics for the amount of glass that I can shoot. Impact Machine for attaching that glass to all my slides. Whether it's a direct mill or whatever plate Scott sends me, he's who I trust. Outdoor Dynamics, I'm going to be shooting bowberries all day tomorrow. John will literally, within days of me asking for major match ammo, I'll just receive a tracking number. That guy's the best as far as competition ammo goes. Ghost holsters for the belt and the rig and all the stuff that sits on my hips. I really can't recommend a better bang for your buck, but it's really my favorite holster, even if they charge double as much for it. I have a bunch of other people, but I'm just sitting here dry firing and loading that ammo, and I just want to thank you guys for being a part of this little crazy thing I got going. Now that the niceties are out of the way, excuse me, the pollen is whooping me, we're going to talk about some major match prep. So, first and foremost, leading into a major match, I'm not going to change how I train or what I train in the week leading up to it. That's not what I'm talking about. The weeks leading up to a major match, I'm hammering all the hard skills. I'm doing my little two-track training approach where I'm working on the skills on one side of things and doing a lot of performance training on the other side of things. Basically seeing where my hard skills are and then testing them at random on the other side of things. And then this week coming in, Rob Epifania stopped in. We just dropped a podcast earlier on. And we did some major match prep. We did some shooting, and that's kind of where this idea came from for this podcast, because that was about a week out from the major. I started, I'll say, changing how I act on the way into the major. So, first things first, once I hit about 10 days out from a major, I stopped working on the skill side of things, because in the 10 days leading up to a major, I'm not going to gain or change any major, I'm not going to gain any major time, first of all. And I'm not going to be changing anything because it'd be irresponsible 10 days out from a major to try to change something and have a less than subconscious control of one of my skills. So about 2 weeks, 10 days out, skill training takes a break, but I shoot a lot of performance training. So a lot more dry fire, a lot more Ace VR, and a lot more rounds go down range in the week or so leading up to a major. And the style of training changes slightly. Since I'm not working on skill anymore, I'm on the performance side of things. And that means I'm doing a lot of randomized training, drills at random in general. And I got a lot of questions about this when me and Rob posted a bunch of stages in the last thing. To me, performance training or randomized training is essentially stacking all the skills that I've been working on in pieces, in random orders and in random stages, and it's kind of like observe what happens, basically. Testing the skills at random and seeing if and where they fall apart and where I might want to adjust my game around that. Now, I just said I'm not going to change my skill side of things. I'm not going to go back and try to change anything. I might do some dry fire a little bit heavier in one skill or another leading up to it if I know that that is the thing that I need to work on. Say it's reloads, or say it's moving draws, or whatever it is. In general, the performance training just gets me used to trusting my skills and not changing them, focusing on them, or consciously trying to do anything. The performance training just gives me, I like to minimum 8 rounds, but up to 44, 48 rounds is fine. I'm just going to set myself a big, long, confusing course of fire. It's not going to be overly difficult or complicated. I just like it to be long for the purpose of taking up my conscious mind. And by definition, then, the subconscious shooting kind of shows itself. And I can get an assessment and really trust my subconscious shooting see where it's at, have an honest test of it. And where I'm at right now, my whole goal is to kind of shift into match mode and understand that my shooting is where it needs to be. So I'm going to focus on performance training for the purpose of shooting a bunch of random arrays, stacking the skills randomly, not having any value for where I put them or when I put them, but not seeing a large change in my skill. Basically saying I'm going to shoot a random stage 500 different times, not for the purpose of trying to beat myself time and time again, because I'm not trying to polish or work on skills, but I'm going to try to shoot it in random as many times as possible and keep the hit factor close together, meaning my skills are where they need to be. I'm not going to have a rise and fall in performance on a single stage, because matches aren't a test of your ceiling, they're a test of your floor, and I don't want my ceiling and my floor to separate a lot. So I generally find that by doing this kind of training, I can test out and see where I can manage my floor is the easiest way to put it. Like, at what point does it start to feel out of control? What can I get away with? Where strategically am I going to stage plan at? And now that's another big advantage of the performance training is I'll take a stage, and just recently me and Rob at Bafania were shooting a 36-round stage. Big old stage. There's probably 10 different ways to run it. So, as always, run it your favorite way first, because if it's your favorite way, you're going to maximize your subconscious shooting abilities. It's a Steve Anderson tenet, but it's something I fully believe in. It's a mental management thing. Your subconscious skill set is best done when I have a high self-image. And not confidence, not ego, like belief in myself. This is going to work really well because I practice this and I like this stage. You'll get the best out of yourself. So, generally speaking, I'll look at a stage, I'll break down all the little bits and pieces of it, I'll shoot it my favorite way, and then my whole goal is to then say, what's the second best way to shoot this? If there's two comparable stage plans, obviously I shot it my favorite way the first time, so my whole goal is to shoot it the least favorite way the second time. And then, is there a major change? There shouldn't be. Obviously my first way might be a little bit better because I liked it, but really at this level of Master Grandmaster shooting, I don't expect to see a huge performance dip. I expect to say if I do my job and I do it right, no matter if I go left or right, given that the stage plans are equal, well, screw my favorite way. I should be able to do both ways with a comparable hit factor. And that's where the performance training really helps me out, because my favorite way oftentimes changes. And what I mean by that is I have a favorite way because of how I've trained or who I am or whatever, the way my brain organizes information or past events or whatever. But something that happened to me and Rob recently was we were shooting my favorite way, his favorite way, and then what kind of happened was we just mashed them together, and I took his favorite way, his target order, but I added my idea and flow to it, and all of a sudden, neither one of our favorite ways were our favorite ways anymore. Our new favorite way was this way, because I think my favorite way is to win, and that gave us the best hit factor. So by training this way, this style of performance training, this randomized training, you'll practice it your favorite way, you'll get a good benchmark, you'll practice it another way, and you'll get an objective look at, holy shit, I didn't consider that works, or you'll get some data as far as, hey, that strategy will work, that strategy won't work. If my hit factor doesn't change over 10 different stage plans, you can say, hey, I can shoot every which style in here. I've learned a little bit from each one of these stages, and I can better apply that to my major. And then if you try 3 different strategies and one of them fails miserably, not because my skills fell apart, not because I did anything wrong, but because it just didn't work, well, then you can pretty objectively say that's not going to work when you come out to a major match. So when you show up to a major, what is it? It's a arbitrary collection of every skill there is out there. In this one, there's 12 stages, so you have to be doing the basics very well for a very long time. They're not going to ask you to do anything complicated. I'm not going to be standing on my head or doing backflips or anything. It's just a large, complicated version of the basics. So performance training is just that. It's basically saying I'm going to take a stage and I'm going to do this randomly in every which arbitrary way. I'm going to stack these skills in every different kind of way, and I should then kind of get the vibe of, I don't want to say match training, because there's really no way to train for matches or stages, but you get a better idea of how to set a stage plan, program that stage plan visually and mentally, just do the stage plan, assess it, and then move on to the next one. And that's what matches generally are. I mean, it's a loose way of putting it, but that's what matches are. Show up to an arbitrary set of challenges, you assess the challenges based on the start position. This is the best way to run the stage. period. If I have a lot of data, if I do a lot of performance training, and I know every which way every time I step left, right, forward, or back, what my draw is, if I know what my shooting is on the move versus stationary, if I know all that data, I can get a better sense of stage plans when I'm doing it in real life. And if you're just at home running your favorite way through your favorite stages or your favorite classifiers, you don't get all that extra data. You just cement what you're good at. And by definition, humans love training what we're good at. Like, we just do. We love doing what we're good at. Well, if you're good at it, do you need to train it more, or do you need to identify what you don't like and maybe train that until you're good at everything? So I find this performance training is also a way of tricking yourself into shooting the things you normally wouldn't do, getting an honest assessment, and then maybe starting to work in that direction. Maybe if you're really comfortable standing and shooting and then running, and you shoot your favorite way and you get a benchmark hit factor, and then you shoot it the next way, which is moving and shooting just because you're going to try the strategy, and your hit factor is comparable. Well, what if you just got good at moving and shooting? Wouldn't it mean that hit factor would get better in the future? Wouldn't that mean that if you could do it your favorite way really well, and you do it your least favorite way and it's comparable, what if you got good at doing it your least favorite way? And that's where you start to say, well, I don't want a least favorite way, I don't want a favorite way. I want to know via the numbers, via data, what I'm best at, and I will do that way. I will know my numbers for stepping every which direction. I'll be able to step up to a stage, plug my numbers in, and say, well, this is the best way. There's no opinions anymore. There's no attitudes. There's no emotions. It's just a very systematic approach. You show up to the stage, and you just do your thing. So leading up to these major matches, that's what my training kind of turns into. It turns into performance training. I do a lot of randomized training, a lot of high round count, and now for me, something I've done this season is I bust out my Glock 34 the week leading up to the majors. This season, I'm going to be shooting all bone stock. Bone stock. No internal change, nothing different. I have a dot on it, and I have sticky grip panels on it. I use the handle it, stick-on grip panels. But all bone stock guns, everything I mentioned. This last week, though, starting with Rob and leading up to here, I shot probably 700, 800 rounds, all getting used to the impulse of the 34. Because in training, I shoot my 45 pretty exclusively now. I've been playing with a 17 as well, too. But I'll just kind of explain the why of that, because I get a lot of questions seeing on like Instagram videos and seeing my videos like, why are you shooting that now and this and this. I had again, objective testing. I did a bunch of testing, and I realized if I shot a 34, it's a little bit heavier, it's a little bit longer. By definition, it'll soak up some of my whoopsies. Now, I don't want to train to soak up my whoopsies, so what I did is do an objective test, and I shot my 34, and I'll say this a couple months ago. This is over the off season. I shot the 34, and what I started to realize over like a month or so shooting it is when I would call a bad shot on my 45 or my 17, the shot on the 34 that I'd call a bad shot wasn't a bad shot, and I had to start getting used to that. The 34, it helps you get lucky. That's a dumb, stupid way to put it, I know, but my mistakes were made a little bit. They were masked a little bit by the 34, I'll say. So what I do is I'm going to stay training with my 45. I'm going to stay hard on my 45. I'm going to train with my 45, my 17, maybe a little just to mix it in. And the whole point is then if I can shoot to a GM level with my 45 and I can stay consistently awesome with my 45, well, if I grab my 34 and shoot a major match with it and I happen to make a little bit of a tiny mistake, it will be minimized by the 34, which is also why I shoot match ammo at major matches. That's why everybody shoots major match ammo. I practice with 124, so it feels a little bit easier when I shoot a real nice match ammo at a match. So I'm shooting the 45, so it's a little bit harder to get perfection out of it. And then when I go to shoot the 34, it's 1% to 2% easier. Boom. But that said, even though it's easier, I don't take shit for granted, and I've been shooting the 34 to get used to it a little bit. It throws a little bit different because it's a little bit heavier. Shot calling's a little bit different with it just because it feels like it's got a different recoil impulse. But if you shoot a Glock and you go from a 45 to a 34 and they're both stock, you'll be 200 rounds in and you'll forget. That's all it takes. So I kind of just, that's why I figured I'm going to dump up a couple, if I could get a case in the week leading up to a major, just to get the recoil impulse second nature. Sure, that's it. And then I'm going to shoot my 34 in the match. Now, the cool thing about Ghost holsters, as I mentioned, is all my gear is the same for all of this. Obviously, it's a Glock. A Glock is a Glock, but the holster doesn't change. I don't draw any differently. The magazines are all the same. I don't shoot any different ammo. It doesn't make any difference to me, really. I just have a nice, pretty 34 now that Scout sent me that I'll dedicate as a match gun that won't get beat up all the time by carrying it. Now, I do like my 45 still. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad gun and I'm going onward. My 45, I'm actually sitting here at Thurmont Conservation Club down in Maryland, and this is where I won Maryland State like 6 months ago. Now, I carried my 45 here like I am right now. I unloaded it in the car, I went and won the match with it, and then I carried it home. So, I love my 45. I think it's just fine. But I'm experimenting this year a little bit. I'll be also experimenting with some bigger, heavy guns. I have a Walther waiting for me back home right now. A steel frame, 5-inch, with a performance trigger waiting for me back home. So, you're going to see me messing around with some other things this year. I messed with that Beretta a little bit. Wasn't my cup of tea. I'm going to stay away from the Shadow for the same purpose. I don't like the skinny metal guns, double single action, because I'm a big, dumb caveman. I don't have big hands. I have, like, wide, blocky hands, and I have short fingers, so the double single action guns don't seem to work for me. The Walther seems just like a big, stupid, heavy Glock, but it being twice the weight, I'm hoping that makes a big difference for some distance shooting, and I don't think it's going to be any faster up close. I'm at a point where my shooting inside of 15 yards, so it's not going to make a big difference. But hey, some experimenting will happen. That said, I'm just going to be experimenting. My major batch guns are still going to be Glocks all through 2025. If I jump into another set of guns and magazines and stuff this season, it'll be interesting. It'll always be off objective testing. But back to what I was saying about the whole major match like lead up. There's really not a whole lot of secrets to it. You're at where you're at when you're coming up to a major match. Once you're 14 days out, consider your skills what they're at, and instead try to push consistency, which is why I like the performance side of training. I'm trying to make sure my draw to the left, right, and center is always the same. I'm trying to make sure if I shoot designated target, if I start with the fast, easy, small transitions, or if I start with the big transitions, I don't want there to be a big difference in my skill set. I want to see a lot of consistency. And it helps to leave the skill training at home and just do performance training and start to identify how can I make all my skills, or every drill exactly the same, granted all the variables are the same. So I say designated target drill is one of my favorite ways to test that. I'm going to shoot D1, D2, D3, D, and then I'm going to shoot D3, D2, D1, D, and I don't want my skills to change. Like I don't want to see a difference in my splits and the transitions. I want to make sure that if I think I have 25 splits, I have them every time on every one of these 4 targets. If I think my transitions are good, I have the same transitions to and from every single target. I want to make sure my draw is always the same over each one of these runs, and I didn't work my way to my favorite best Instagram run and then only post that one and get a false sense of security of like where I'm at. So I like the performance training because it gives you an honest sense of where you're at, and it also settles you into the, like a week out, 7 days and I'm weird. I'm going to put a lot of rounds down range. I probably shot 5 of the 7 days leading up to this because I teach, I'm on the range, I do what I do. But even if you're going to dry fire it a bunch, I mean, you're going to get into this whole groove of things of saying I'm not going to be focused on my skills or trying to squeeze a certain time out. I'm going to be shooting as consistently as I can, as spot focus and we'll say subconsciously as possible, because that's what leads to the best performances. I don't want one-time performances. I want consistent multiple-time performances, and that's what you're going to need at a match. So that's kind of why I like performance training. You're giving yourself the flavor of what's coming. You know, I'm always going to give in to my dot. I'm always going to shoot speed of sight. I'm not going to try to shoot faster than I can get sight pictures. I'm going to always shoot so that I never have a hit factor. I don't have a drill fall out. If I'm going to shoot designated target 6 different times, because there's 6 different ways to shoot it, I don't want one of the 6 to be a 0. I don't want one of the 6 to be a 20%. I want to shoot in such a manner, in such a way that I can maximize my potential every single way, and that will kind of set me in my match mode mentality leading into a match. Match mode is very hard to describe or hard to tell people. It's like flow state. It's hard to explain to some people, but when you do it, you know it. You ever finish a stage and you feel like I saw every single thing, and then you think about it and you're like, man, I just shot 36 shots, and I don't really like number 8, but everything else was fine. That's it. That's match mode, because you didn't think about speed. All you thought about was your sight pictures the whole time. You ran your stage play, and you ran it so well you didn't see any extracurricular information. You don't feel fast. You don't feel slow. When I feel fast, generally that means I skip some of that information. It's a pretty common thing. When I feel slow, I'm right. It was slow. But when I just gave into my eyes, gave into my dot, I saw 36 sight pictures, 32 sight pictures, whatever. Designated target is 14 sight pictures. If I just saw 14 sight pictures, and I'm aware of every single shot, I bet that's where your best performances are going to lie, and I bet that you can also, secondarily, you can repeat that performance. So I joke, we just, yesterday was my match, my weekly match, and one of the shooters, Cody, I actually mentioned him in the last post, he was there, and or the last podcast I talked about Cody, and he's A-class shooter approaching master, and he shot a stage that was wicked fast. It looked fast. Like, it looked like he was trying real hard, which I'll mention in as I go forward here. But it looked like he was ripping it. It looked real fast. You could hear the splits. He came to a swinger, and he activated the swinger. He swung over to the swinger, and he ripped off like a 14 split. He caught like an alpha Charlie on the swinger, and he moved on. And I was like, dude, that was awesome run. First, because it was an awesome run. He had a high hit factor. He did what he planned to do. But I asked him a very leading question. I said, well, can you do that again? Can you repeat that performance? Mainly that activator to split sequence on the swinger. And he looked at me and goes, yeah, no, I got lucky. And I was like, that's actually good to clock. Can I get away with that kind of blinding speeds? Well, yes, you just proved to me that you could. But that's some skill training stuff. That's for you to understand in skill training how to figure out how I did that, how I'm going to do it every single time. Give myself some how-tos and figure out the minor details in between and make it all subconscious. But for the performance side of things, if you can't repeat it, that's a problem. I think that I want to always be able to repeat the run. So I talked about it, and we broke the run down. And I said, hey, what if you shoot this slightly different order? You shoot sooner, not faster. And instead of choosing speed on the swinger, we choose sight pictures. We do stuff sooner, not faster. And he shot the next stage. It did not look hard. He didn't look fast. It didn't look different. It didn't look crazy. He took 2 alphas on the swinger as it passed twice, and he shot it like 2 seconds faster. Something kind of, it was like a 10% difference in stage time, and it didn't look faster. And then the next question I asked him, I was like, well, did you feel faster? And he goes, I didn't feel faster, but I saw everything. And I was like, well, bingo, boom, showed him the timer, and timer said it was faster. And then the next question was more important, can you do that again? And he goes, oh, yeah, I could do that again. Yeah, I could do that again. I saw everything I need to see. That was a strategy that I could say do all those things. I didn't get lucky anywhere along the way. And that's where performance training is, because he maximized his results without extra effort, and he could do it again and again and again. That's what I think is more important in starting to get into the performance side of things. When you start understanding performance training, that's what the test is. And then when you're not leading up to a major match, you could assess your deficiencies and start to work on the skill training of those deficiencies, break them into individual segments, train their smallest individual segments and start to stack them back up again, and then bring it back over to the performance side of things. But leading up to a major match, my whole goal this last week was to shoot stages with total sacrifice to sight pictures, not worried about time. Things like worrying about my make-ready procedure, because when I'm teaching, I generally kind of jump in and just shoot and don't really respect the mental side of things. So yesterday, I really made sure that leading up to the next couple of shooters, I was visualizing my plan, even though I was teaching still. I did my make-ready procedure every single time. Every time I do my make-ready procedure, I load the gun and I do the same thing the same way. I see my sight pictures. I visualize the plan one last time. And then the most important thing, big breath, relax. And then the performance side of things isn't so crazy when I don't have so much tension. I love the phrase, I steal this from F1. An F1 driver said this. I don't know who, because I'm a dummy when it comes to those kinds of things, but it lit me up when I heard it. Performance comes from a relaxed mind and calm body. It might be calm mind, relaxed body. It doesn't matter. But I was like, huh. So every time I make ready, stand by. And that's when I can get my fastest draws. That's when I can get my best 1-second reloads. When I don't give myself that exhale, when I don't give myself that chance to relax, I don't get what I want. So in the skill training, because you're pushing a lot of speed and you forget to do that, and you're doing rep, you might forget that procedure. But in the performance side of things, before every single way, because I want to be repeatable, I want to be robotic, I don't want to be in a rush, I don't want to be in control of time, I just want to do my thing. Well, you start to do your make-ready procedure. You start to make sure you load the gun the same way every time. You make sure everything on my belt's appropriate. You make sure my dot's the way I like it. You see it all one last time. You program those spots. And most importantly, you relax before you start shooting, right? That's where the performance side of things really makes a difference for me. I set the habits again of, hey, give in. You're not teaching anymore. You're not in control anymore. You're just here to do a job, and that job is shoot the spot that you chose as soon as you see the appropriate sight picture. Pretty simple job. Simple and easy are two different things, and if you've worked with me before, you know I say that all the damn time. Simple and easy are two way different things. But it's very simple. Tomorrow, my whole job is to step onto a stage, create a good stage plan based on the numbers that I know I am capable of doing. And then my job after that is to memorize the whole stage plan until I can see it inside of my I can visualize it with my eyes closed. And then after the beat, my only job is to see those spots in the order that I chose and shoot the sight picture that is appropriate to score the points. It's a very simple process, and it's kind of funny because I ran into one of my students who was ROing one of the stages, and he shot yesterday, and he goes, "Hey man, I'm really excited because I can literally account for 8 trigger pulls that were off the system of an entire 12-stage major match. I can account for 8 trigger pulls that were off the system." And I'm like, dude, that's the kind of performance you're looking for. You're looking for that level of accountability, consistency, and repeatability. And you could also say, why did I do those 8 things? Go home and train them before the next major match. And that's exactly what we had the discussion of. He identified what it was. He knows his next major's in a couple of weeks. He's got a couple of weeks to work out those little things, and bingo, bango, you're on your way. So it's kind of fun now. Is I have a system, and if I fall off the system, I can account for how many times I fell off the system, and I'll be as happy with my runs as much as I give into the system. If I try to control time, if I try to control speed, if I try to control things, things go a little haywire. But if I give into the system, I get what I want. I like the term I get what I deserve. Because I'll maximize my training if I just give in and I just do what I trained. And if I did good, consistent, solid, honest training, I'll get the results out there. If my training left something to be desired, I'll get the report card out there and I'll be able to train. But now that tells me I don't want to come into this match with any kind of control in my mind. I'm going to come into this match and do my damn job. And you know what? My shooting's where it needs to be right now. My shooting, I won my last major at the end of last season, and I can say right now my shooting's at or beyond where it was then, thanks to Ace, thanks to a lot of dry fire, and thanks to coming out this season swinging, because I just don't stop shooting. I don't care. I always say I'm going to relax during the winter, and then I never do. People don't like to shoot in the cold, so I end up shooting by myself in the cold a lot. But I came out the other side of the winter feeling good. I'm positive. I don't need to push my shooting in any regard. The only thing I need to do is really make sure I'm running between spots if there's a big run. I need to make sure I'm staying calm and relaxed instead of tense, and I'm going to let my shooting speak for itself. I'm going to let my system speak for itself. I'm excited for this match tomorrow. I just walked all the stages today, so that's kind of the second half of this major match prep. So we're done training for the week. Like, skills are over. I'm not training skills. Performance training is all performance training. And now I'm on an RV sitting, it's Saturday, I shoot on Sunday, and I'm on an RV on the premises sitting here listening to all the gunshots. That's the other big thing I recommend when you're going to shoot a major. If you expect to do well, you expect to maximize your performance, unless every day you train to get up at 3 a.m. and drive 4 hours and shoot at the range for 12 hours and then drive home, don't expect you to do that. Don't expect you to come to a major match and do your best having done that in the morning if you never trained that. So if you're going to come down here with 500 rounds in your pocket and you paid a big match fee and you want to actually do well and you want to really test your training, find a cheap motel and go stay the day before. I have an RV, which is cool because I'm not sure what's beeping in here. Uh-oh. Who cares? So I have an RV so I can park down here, but hey, I truck camped all the years I didn't have one of these stupid things, and this is only a 25-footer. You can see the back behind me, and you can see the cab right there. It's a little 25-footer. It's nice. But if you don't have an excuse to buy one of these, you can just car camp it. I used to bring my hammock with me or my camping supplies with me. I'd come to the club. I'd just set up camp, and this is where I would stay for the night. I have a little bag that I can do my shower with, you know what I mean? But who cares? Like, it's you're gonna be here for one day. Bring what you need. Pack a cooler full of food. Get here early. And my big thing is walk your stages. You're not gonna don't bring a matchbook and like a packet of things thinking you're gonna be able to memorize everything, and you're not gonna be able to walk around and like film the stages and study them. It's not gonna help. You're gonna have too much information. You're gonna have information overload. But I want you to walk the stages for the sake of not having any surprises the day of. You're going to walk every stage and you're going to look around and start to see, like, what is out there? Are there things out there that I didn't see at the matchbook? Are there some targets that are surprisingly far? Swingers that are surprisingly difficult? Did they change something and there's some strong hand or weak hand only stuff? Like, you're going to walk around and just kind of spot the anomalies. But really what I like to do is walk it in the order I'm going to shoot it. So I just walk it in the order I'm going to shoot it. I pick up all the information along the way. Cool, this is a good stage, easy stage, cool stage, easy stage. I'm not going to try to set any hard stage plans, but I'll gather some loose ones. I'll be able to say, I know about how I'll attack this tomorrow. And then, all right, well then the last thing I do is I go to the first stage that I'm going to shoot in the morning, and I get a good mental picture. It's what's funny because I walked all the stages already. I saw everybody shoot it. I came back here to shoot this, have some dinner, do my thing. And now once everybody's done shooting and it's a little quieter and I can concentrate, I'm going to pop my earbuds in. I'm going to go walk the first stage of the day tomorrow. Because I don't want to go try to remember 12 stages. That's not an intelligent thing to do. But I know the first stage of the day, if I could walk up and have a little bit less of a mental load because it's already incredibly ingrained in my subconscious, if I could visualize that stage all night tonight, I could wake up and not have a stressful morning. I could have my coffee, walk up while everybody's saying hi and we're being polite and the niceties and I'm still drinking coffee. Instead of sacrificing all that mental stage time, I'm going to have it tonight as a little secret. I'm going to snack on it for dessert. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to have it for breakfast, and I'm going to go to the stage, and I'm going to feel like I've already shot the stage 100 times by the time I get there tomorrow. So that's my little thing. I will get to the stages. I'll get to the match the day early, typically, because I'm going to sleep somewhere locally, if not on premises. And this is, obviously, if you're just going for fun, like, yeah, don't blow your whole weekend traveling to a major that you don't expect to win. But if you expect to win, if you expect to go do your job, put the effort forth. And I'll tell you what, I see all the other grandmasters that are going to try to win tomorrow. We all just saw each other walking stages today. I think that's, hey, notice the pattern, right? So some guys are staying at some buddies' houses local. Some guys are car camping. Some guys are at hotels. I'm in an RV. It doesn't matter, but you'll notice we're all here a day early. We're all walking stages. And the really big thing is everybody walks at least their first stage, if not their pre-lunch stages, really heavily. You really want a mental idea of what I'm doing on that first stage, so I'm not overloaded. I'm not coming up and I'm not flustered with all the work that starts the match. I don't want to have to get warm on the first stage. I want to come in feeling like I know the stage already. I know where I'm at. I've been there 1,000 times. I dreamt about this stage. That's the way it should feel like. So, really, I mean, another one of the reasons, and this is probably the last thing I'll say about the major match prep, the reason I'm here early is comfort. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I want to make this as comfortable as humanly possible, including I know where all the stages are. I know where the lunch is going to be. I know where the facilities are. I know where the porta-johns are. I know where the entry and exit are. I'm comfortable in that. Like, I got my little espresso machine on here. I got snacks with me. My wife made brownies this morning. I got homemade brownies over here. I have my Meta Ace, and I can do my dry fire tonight. So I come and kind of make myself at home and trick myself into being comfortable here, and I don't feel out of my element. My element is kind of just being a shooter every day and doing my thing, and if I can bring all the creature comforts of home with me, do some dry fire, bring my Ace VR, have a snack. I was standing outside playing with my little RC car like I do. I mean, I feel natural. I feel like I'm at home. I don't feel like it's an away game. I'm in my own premises. I got a closet full of clothes behind me. Like, I feel good. So, thanks for sticking with me. I'm going to try to keep this one short because I'm also shooting it on an iPad, and I don't know when this is finally going to run out. I also don't know what the hell that beep is, so I'm going to have to go find out to make sure I'm not sucking carbon monoxide or something. But thank you guys for sticking with me. Again, thank you to the sponsors that make this weird life possible. I'm acutely aware of how weird my life is and how lucky I am. Thank you for you guys who I see on the range who stop me and thank me and say they watch my stuff and they follow what I do. I appreciate you guys. I'm serious. I'm a big nerd about this kind of things. It's not lost on me that I get to shoot for a living, and I hated my job 10 years ago, and now here I am loving what I do every day. So thank you guys. Thank you to my wife who's watching my 11-month-old baby right now, who is probably destroying the entire house because he's now mobile. So it's been a fun winter. I expect to come out and start this season off with a bang, and this is going to set the tone for the whole year. So I'm looking forward to come out, really push this match, have a lot of fun with this match, go score a lot of points, and then carry that throughout the rest of the season. So thank you guys very much for sticking with me. Anything you need from me is from CallahanTrainingGroup.com. I have a bunch of merch there. I have all my classes there. I have some road classes coming up. I'll be in Granby, Massachusetts, so I'll be up near, just think Boston area, mid-May. I think it's May 16th, 17th. So if you're looking to grab a class with me and you're not in the Poconos and you're somewhere in the Northeast, you can join me there. Otherwise, I'm in the Poconos all the time, 7 days a week. If you want to see me at your club, contact me and we can try to work it out. If we can get a good enough plan and I can get this RV there and park it there, I'm always happy to come play. So thank you guys very much as always. I always like to say, don't forget to dry fire.